Hi, this is Mark. In this video, I'm going to talk about why less is more when it comes to building muscle. Um, I learned this, I just, over time when I was bodybuilding or when I was really getting into it, I ended up building about 30, 40 pounds within a 3 month span. And I was able to, it was about a few years ago. Um, I was really, I focused mainly on optimizing my hormone levels at the time. And just when it came to the workout regimen that I tried to develop, I did not. I noticed how a lot of people would spend hours and hours in a workout facility. I used to go to on campus when I was in college. I go to the gym, and every day, every time I went there, which was usually 2, 3 times a week, I would see the same people in there, and I kind of sometimes I flipped it around and I went other days and I still noticed them, same individuals. And I kind of noticed that that they see a lot of them spent 2 hours, 2 plus hours trying to work out, and the problem with this, and to me, it's fine to build up. Like if you want to, the key to building muscle is optimizing your hormone levels. Um, of course, trying optimizing everything, your organ system essentially, and that's how you get your hormone levels maximized. And of course, there's genetics that come into the equation. It's always going to be so the key, try to build up androgen sensitivity, which of course resistant rigorous training will do. But in some caffeine can also help increase androgen sensitivity. And what I've learned is, if when even when it comes to like eating protein and so forth, it's if you eat too much protein, you're actually going to lose muscle. And the reason for this is it's interesting because if you let's suppose now you're working out, you decide to just to jump in, you decide to work out 2 hours, a few hours per day, just jump in rigorous, very hard. You're killing yourself in the gym. You think you're really tearing up the muscles, and you're doing full body. Let's suppose full body workout. So now in this scenario, you're targeting all the muscle groups. Okay, now, when you break in muscle tissues, it's not just macro tears. We're dealing with micro tears, and we're dealing with the whole surface area. So you're distributing this all across, over a large surface area, and now your liver and your organs have to consume so much energy to heal the muscles because you did a full body workout for 2 hours. So really, you tore a lot of muscle, tissue in that case. Um, Especially with like heavyweight resistant training. So now in this scenario, since your body is utilizing energy in reserves to do so, you're now consuming, let's say, a lot of protein to try to compensate. Well, because your liver is now working extremely hard, your digestive system is repressed because energy. It's a conservation of energy. You ultimately, when energy has to be distributed in that way, it's repressed in other regions. Like just like when you're stressed, your reproductive hormones decline to deal with the stress or the energy demand for that system. So I've learned that this really hampers and it can really destroy testosterone production because not only are you hindering the digestive capabilities, your assimilation is reduced, therefore the recovery time is reduced, and you end up with inflammation problems they have to deal with, and a lot of times when you eat a lot of protein, cortisol comes into the equation. And cortisol is a useful hormone for regulating blood sugar, but the problem with cortisol is when it gets to excess and due to excess inflammation, because the reason cortisol is an anti-inflammatory hormone. It tries to rid the body of inflammation. So if there's a lot of inflammation, like in this scenario, and let's say you don't consume enough carbs to help deal with and mitigate all the inflammation present within the body and get enough energy reserves. So suppose you just focus on proteins, you're not doing eating a lot of carbs. Well, you're not getting all the glycogen that your body needs from the glucose to actually heal your muscles. And actually, that glycogen reserves from the carbohydrates. That's why it's essential to eat a lot of carbs because it prevents the secretion of excess cortisol to try to create glucose via the gluconeogenesis cycle. And the reason what cortisol needs to create glucose is protein. And if you're not, a lot of times it breaks down protein, your muscles to yield amino acids to to obtain the energy because your body, you of course need energy to deal with this, this energy demand, and therefore, and it causes a lot of problem or havoc with the body and all these energy shifts, and therefore degrades testosterone over time, and your recovery, gets hindered, and therefore, if you continue this cycle of working out 2 hours in excess, you're just going to keep dampering and hindering your testosterone, lowering it even more. So what I've learned is, yeah, less is more. Essentially, you want to do rigorous, exercise activity. I tend to go for a split workout routine that covers just a few muscle groups, but you hit them very hard, and you do it for usually span of 30, 45 minutes. And you start out with this slow progression. Eventually, the body adapts. You build up androgen density. You build up sensitivity. You start increasing testosterone because your body is now recuperating and adjusting to this demand that you're exerting all the physical activity, and it's adjusting to this. So slowly your androgen levels can increase, but what the key is, you got to extract enough nutrients, ensure that your body's healing correctly, and that's why when less is more. When you eat protein, just think about for a second. If you eat too much protein, one of the byproducts of protein metabolism is what is it? It's called ammonia. It's nitrogenous, so it's NH4. And then your kidneys have to deal with that. Your liver have to deal with that and process it on a day-to-day basis. Even like stress is called the silent creeper because you may not even know stress is causing this negative effect until it hits you later, and boom, you're really deep into a hole. So the key is, like, even with protein, you may be like, oh, I'm young, I can do this, and may not notice any negative effects, but it could be so silent. These effects over time could be building up so silent that eventually your metabolism shuts down because your liver is now overworked and all this. So the key with protein is you gotta get enough. And to me, I focus on the organ system because if you can optimize the efficiency of the body, you can eat less protein and yield more protein assimilation and utilization within the body. And that's with like exercise as well. As long as you're not creating this havoc in the energy shifts, and you're not, and you're actually abiding by the law of conservation of energy, and you're essentially extracting what you need to actually mitigate all these issues and get enough energy, so forth, to optimize your hormone system, the hormone levels. Then you can clearly assimilate very efficiently, and that's the key. I think just focus on assimilation or increasing the efficiency of the digestive organs, because then, like, even with fat, you want to increase testosterone. So a lot of people mention, okay, you got to consume fats because fats increase testosterone. Well, guess what? Fats are very hard to digest. So if you eat a lot of fat, you're probably going to you're going to lower your testosterone if you pass a certain limit. Like if you already have a weak digestive system and you're eating a lot of fats, you're going to hinder it even more. And also, if your liver's not functioning well, you're going to hinder it even more because your liver has to process all that fat. So the key is, if you can optimize the digestive organs, the system, consume enough bitters, work your gallbladder, get your gallbladder working, then you can eat fat and you can actually assimilate more, and therefore get your cholesterol level where it needs to be in your body, because your liver actually regulates cholesterol production. And then you may think, yeah, it's going to get your testosterone levels up, but you also need vitamin D, and vitamin D needs cholesterol to be utilized in conversion to the active form, but you also need magnesium to convert vitamin D to its active form. So you can get like vitamin D for magnesium from spinach and other nutrients, or like certain plant products like quinoa. And if you're not getting enough magnesium, it's not going to convert very well, and therefore you're going to not optimize testosterone. So everything like works in synergy. You notice all these nutrients, they need to be in the respective ratios and so forth to get the optimal effect. And of course, that's why I'm kind of not an advocate of taking multivitamins, because they essentially can cause imbalance. Like, it's like we humans somehow understand that the perfect ratios that need to be in every single quantity with it, that is actually kind of already it's a blueprint of life. It's already, all these ratios are in food, like certain foods, for a reason. That's why meat has a certain ratio of nutrients, because the body's adapted to this over time, and now we just put multivitamins into the equation suddenly and think we understand the ratios that the body needs, and somehow think that imbalances won't occur. And that's a problem, I think. If you don't get enough magnesium, or if you get too much vitamin D, you're suppressing magnesium, because magnesium and vitamin D work together. So therefore, if you consume too many and at the expense of magnesium supply, then you're going to cause this shift or this imbalance. So the key is, like, varied diet. That's why, like, if you ate the same food over and over and over, it become dull. You wouldn't get the reward because naturally your body wants to seek variety. You want to seek novelty. You want to seek progression. So therefore, you may have cravings for certain things because you're missing those nutrients. So the key is like getting a very, very varied diet. Try to minimize, not overdo on calories, not just load yourself up because that's essentially going to hinder muscle growth. I didn't even consume so many calories. I just focused on optimizing the organ system, at least getting enough protein. I focus on definitely getting enough carbs because carbs, I know, with the cortisol connection, you want to minimize the carbohydrates. And I took some adaptogens like ashwagandha to further help my adrenal glands function and so forth. And didn't take too many supplements because that can hinder liver function. Most of the supplements I take is like liver bitters or stuff like that to kind of get the digestive organs flowing, and therefore so I can maximize the uptake of nutrients and therefore in circulation and oxygen supply to the brain, which controls this master hormone gland. So the key is just focusing on all these areas of concepts, not just the specifics. You don't just be like, yeah, this food increases testosterone or this food increases testosterone. Yeah, food increases testosterone, but it's not the specific food. It's the what it does to the internal, like all the connections that are happening, and the variation and the nutrients and uptake and all the other areas are the reasons. So that's why, like, yeah, you want to have like detoxification, liver detoxification occasionally. You want to eat enough cruciferous vegetables, asparagus, get the whole array. And essentially, like even with tofu and like stuff like soy, people have mentioned it lowers testosterone. Well, to a degree, yes. And in my viewpoint, it's only because toxicity. Like soy can be very hard to digest depending on how it's cooked, so that can cause post toxicity. It also has, yes, it has vital nutrients, but or isoflavonoids or soy or plant estrogens. But if you extract it and you extract any herb, if you extract it, it takes pounds of herbs to get one little like smaller quantity of extract. It could amplify the estrogenic effect or the toxicity or anything. Anything poses toxicity in liver is going to raise estrogen levels. So therefore, focus on liver health, like all the organs. Maximize the digestive system. Don't overdo it on protein. Don't overdo it like on any of the nutrients. Um, and and then do the rigorous exercise routine. Start out slower. Start off with less duration. Work your way up, and when your testosterone levels slowly increase, then you can maybe add some timing, and then go from there. And then just moderation, and get enough sunlight. Meditate to reduce stress. Find ways to cope with stress. Socialize occasionally. It's okay to have a beer here and there. Life is short, and yeah, that's just what I have. So I, have for now, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.